You know where you are!
This is Appetite for Distortion.
Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode number 459. My name is Brando, doing a bit of an Appetite for Discovery theme episode. You're going to be really sick of my puns, Eddie, by the end of this episode. But we're here to, Appetite for Distortion, name of the podcast, Appetite for Discoveries, when we meet artists or bands that you may not know, but we want to learn about that have something maybe to do with Guns N' Roses. And if you're a fan of this podcast, Eddie may look familiar to you, but we're gonna learn all about, yes, we'll get to it, Axl Rose and In-N-Out Burger. We'll get to that. But I kind of want to get to meet you just a little bit first, Eddie. Because we're meeting you and your band is Standby. So what's going on? How are you? How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, we're great. My name is Eddie Dolak. I'm the frontman of Standby. We just put out a record in February. I'm 17. My bassist Trey 17. Michael, our drummer, he's 19, and Jackson's 18. So we're pretty young. So we're just trying to make some rock music to heal the world.
To heal the world. I love that. One of my favorite Michael Jackson songs, by the way. And I love because before we got on the air, I always try to I know this might sound awkward, but check the temperature of my guests because some are nervous, some are not. Some are worried about, I know not in this case, but are worried about clickbait stuff. And you're like, I'm okay. I've done this before. So before I even get to ask any of your ages, you rattling them off right away. Because you're going to be asked that because look at this. One day this is going to be you as I stroke my beard. I don't know. Can you even grow one yet?
Not nearly there yet, but someday soon.
Oh, I love it. So where are you located, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so we're in just Ventura County, California.
Right on.
Just Ventura area.
Very
Lots of
cool.
surfing. It's great.
I was listening to you guys on because you're on Spotify and you're all like the usual places. You're on social media, and I'm glad I got to speak with you because I don't know if maybe you have heard this comparison before, but it sounds like a young early Silverchair.
Oh my goodness, dude. Every single person ever
Says
compares to
that.
Silverchair. It's great. I
It's
love Silverchair. It's a great comparison.
as I said, like, oh, I don't know if you've heard this before. Yes, that's all you've heard. I think it's just something with your voice that's like Daniel Johns.
Yeah.
But while it's like, and I love Silverchair as well, while it's like that, it's definitely more modern than that. It's different. It's heavier than that. So I enjoy all the riffs, everything. It's cool because when I was gonna reach out to you guys, I'm like, I don't know if they're terrible, if I'm gonna like them. And what the word rock means so many different things. So this is
Right.
kind of like a throwback a little bit to my, early 90s kind of rock style and kind of maybe talk about your your influences and who inspired you to start this band.
Yeah, so I mean, my biggest influence of all time has got to be Pearl Jam. I love Pearl Jam. I've been raised on Pearl Jam. Um, so I mean, obviously, like all the grunge stuff is huge for me and my bassist. And then what really kicked it off for me kind of though was like some of the pop punk stuff. I was really into Green Day and some Blink 182 at the start around like, age 11, 12. And then around 14, 15, I discovered grunge and I've been in love ever since. But at the same time, along the way, I've also grown to appreciate, people like Guns N' Roses. They were one of my first concerts. I saw them at I think back in 2021 or 22 at the Bank of California Stadium, which is now BMO Stadium. And I also saw them at Bottle Rock in Napa with Dave Grohl singing Paradise City, and they cut the
Nice.
power on them. That was crazy. I was up by the rail and stuff. I could still hear it fine, but everyone else was pissed. But I what really what really inspires me is just the things in life that I've come across at the age of 17, whether that be surfing or meeting people at shows and stuff. We have a really good local scene out here in Ventura County. Just lots of great bands coming up and stuff, and there's always room for more. So, um, you know, just that's what inspires me, just seeing all the growth of the scene.
That's makes me happy to hear. And I can't believe, I don't know, because you said you're 17. I'm gonna be 41 later this year. And I don't know, when
Nice.
I hit 40, I've never felt old before, but now I guess talking to you now I feel old. But it's you want to make sure that, and as I have my son who's one, uh,
Congratulations.
thank you. Just to know that the next generation, because everyone's like, "Oh, rock is dead." You hear that all the time, and it's like, no, it's not. One of my brothers even tried to make fun of me. Rock is dead. Name this band, this band. No, there's always, whether it's the most popular or not, I don't think is relevant. There's always a fan base, and to see someone like you not just embracing bands of my youth, because I love Green Day. I love Blink. I saw them back in the day together with Saves the Day opening, which was a great show at Jones Beach, Long Island. And, just to see that kind of combined again with all my youth and just because, again, you see a lot of the Kerrang and magazines and Rolling Stone. And when I see the bands they're promoting that are supposedly rock, they're not really rock, which is fine, but they're not the rock I enjoy that sound. And to know that sound isn't going away, and then I'm not some old man shaking his fist at the cloud. I'm not Grandpa Simpson is very cool. So, with that, I gotta ask, and I'll give a shout out to your dad, because I just said thanks Eddie's dad because I was talking to him on Instagram setting this up. My dad got me started on the rock path, listening to the radio and loving Zeppelin and the Doors. Was it the same with yours? Like, who did you look to kind of, help shape you?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. I look to my dad. I just grew up on just everything rock and grunge and even the classic stuff. I mean, I'm a Zeppelin sucker. I love the Beatles and everyone, Deep Purple. But really just growing up on Pearl Jam, that was like, it was always played in the house, always in the drive to school, or with like I was in the car and stuff with my parents. It was always just rock music, always something on the radio. And I think due to that, my soul was drawn to rock music. And I've loved doing it ever since. I mean, I picked up the guitar at age 10. I was gifted a little, I mean, starter guitar for Christmas one year. And I'm like, whatever. I let it sit in a corner collecting dust for 6 or 7 months. And then I took a few lessons, stopped doing lessons. I'm just self taught and stuff. So I
Right.
play all the instruments and stuff. And there's no feeling that compares to being on stage. And especially in more recent shows, the shows that we're playing now, I look out and like people are singing the words to the songs that I wrote. And it's insane. Like that is the biggest trip to me. It's nuts.
It's so funny. And again, if I could step outside my little head over here, because I'm the oldest of four, right? So I've just seen my brother. We're all 4 years apart, so I've seen them in all different facets of life. So I can't help but sometimes if I come off like an older brother at times, I apologize. But when I was 17, I think I was still deathly afraid of talking to girls, let alone going on stage. Like I have that fantasy, really. I still, even though I have a microphone in front of me now and I talk to rock stars, it's great. But to doing what you do has always kind of been like that middle school me is stuck in me a little bit. So to hear, you're doing that at 17, were you ever nervous? Were you ever, or was it just naturally like that? Does your dad play at all? Do any of your family members play that kind of helped you? Or you just you're naturally just you know you just like sharing your music and you don't think too much of it.
So like nervous wise, everyone's nervous at first. Like no matter what they say, of course they are. Um, and I think during the early days, I started the band in 2018. So dang, that was like I was around 11 or 12 starting it off, just like
Wow.
we were through this music school and stuff, and it was me and my best friend Trey, who's my bassist, and our good friend Trevor Quinn, our former drummer. And so yeah, we'd play like some random like fluke shows. Like our first ever show was the Roxy on Sunset Strip, just through our music school. But I like to say it, even though it doesn't really count. Um, you know, I think just playing more and more shows, I think we got a lot of the jitters out early, and that gave us room for like when we actually started taking it seriously a couple years ago and writing some music and playing more and more shows and also getting tighter and tighter as a band. And it just became the environment that I was kind of used to. Um, so the nerves really kind of went away 2 or 3 years ago. And don't get me wrong, if I were to get on stage in front of 20, 30,000 people, they'd probably come back to me, because it's way different than what we're playing to. But I mean that's kind of how I felt. I went on stage with Green Day a couple of years back at Innings Festival in Arizona, and just to sing a song. And I get up on that stage, and there's like 35 or 40,000 people, and the adrenaline rush was insane. Like I can kind of see how like the nerves wouldn't hit me too hard there. But I think it all depends on the environment. Like you could be playing to like 1,000 people and be fine, but if there's like one person that is judging you in that crowd, then all of a sudden the pressure's on. Um, so nerves kind of left me a couple years back. And I'm super thankful for that because I think as a front man, um, being nervous is not the best thing for you in your situation because you gotta kind of carry the show and whatnot. Um, but yeah, so that's that for nervousness. And my family doesn't really play. My parents took piano lessons and stuff when they were young, but no one in my family was really musical, unless you count like great grandparents and whatnot. So I'm kind of an odd one out, and my brother, due to me, picked up the bass, hence the two basses on my wall back there.
Okay.
Um, so it's just me and my brother pretty much. I'm training my 2-year-old brother right now to play drums. So hopefully we'll have a little family band cooking up.
Man, you are the kid I hoped I would be. Like, if you look back before, and I'm serious. Uh, Middle school, same haircut too, man. I don't know. Like, is this like a Rick and Morty timeline where I'm talking to like a successful me in another timeline? Anyway, oh, brilliance. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about your favorite band a little bit, not just my favorite band, but Pearl Jam, because I don't talk about them enough on here. Because there's plenty of connections. I'm lucky enough to I've had Stone Gossard on, awesome dude. What is it about Pearl Jam? And I'm so glad they're still around because it's just without going too deep, so many bands from that era are not with us anymore. And the fact that they're putting out new stuff. And I remember, seeing Jeremy for the first time on MTV and just being blown away. That whole record, 10, and the fact that they're still doing it. So you coming into their timeline at a different point, what is it about Pearl Jam and lyrics and just their sound that you love so much?
Pearl Jam kind of did the thing that no other band could really do, and that is live through it all. It's crazy just to see their history, how they formed, and also just looking at the interesting periods of their time as a band. Their writing styles have definitely changed and stuff. I mean, the early stuff is obviously heavily influenced by Stone and Jeff stuff because they came from Mother Love Bone and the Green River stuff, and they had chemistry there. They were known musicians, but Eddie was out surfing in San Diego, and he played with a couple bands and stuff, but he wasn't too experienced with it. So he let a lot of the writing up to them, and so that whole 10 record and stuff was all pretty much Stone, Jeff, and Mike, and Dave Cruzen. Um, so I think this watching the styles change as more and more of them got comfortable in the atmosphere, starting to give their own ideas and stuff. I mean, you can look Vitology, Eddie Vedder shined it was insane. Like that's where all of Eddie's songs came out at first, and there were some on verses and stuff. But they have always held just such a special place in my heart. And Eddie Vedder is my biggest inspiration as a frontman. You know, he's insane. Great voice, great stage presence, and he's just like an interesting dude.
Yeah.
You know, I love his festival that he puts on in Dana Point. It's called Ohana Festival. It's my dream to play there one day. And so yeah, I saw them in both Vegas shows this year and both LA shows. And I'm going to London to see them on the 29th. Just I'm going on I'm going for a wedding. So I'll be there right when they are. And so managed to score a ticket. And
Nice.
the other thing for me, I guess, about Pearl Jam is just their diversity in songs. A lot of bands, you know, like they're a rock band, but at the same time, all they do is play the exact same song almost, just in a different like version of it. If that makes sense. Like they stick to one speed, one intensity.
Mhm.
The thing about Pearl Jam, the thing I'm trying to replicate as well is yeah, you have the hard stuff. Yeah, you have the slower stuff, you have the medium stuff, you have everything in between. You know, it's so diverse. And I think that diversity is the craziest thing when it comes to building a fan base. If you go to a Pearl Jam show, like there are some people in the audience who don't know any of the heavy stuff, but they know all the slow stuff. I mean, all the 10 Club's Insane and stuff, they're nuts. So it is my dream to you know, maybe one day open for them, maybe play Ohana Fest and stuff, just be in the same room as those guys and just, you know, let them know how much of an inspiration they are to not only me, but lots of teens in America. And I think a lot of these you know, rock musicians don't really realize that they're still teenagers and stuff, and kids even that look up to them. And you know, they might think, oh, our fan base is all just an older generation, they're older, so we'll grow old with them, but their music is immortalized, you know, forever. It's nuts just to see all. I have friends even that are just now discovering Nirvana and Soundgarden, and I'm like, what took you so long, man? Like,
Yeah,
so
that's
you know,
great.
the fans are there whether they be young or old. And I think that's just the beauty of rock music. You go to a rap concert and it's not, it doesn't have the same vibe, you know, not the same energy.
You know, there was a good example of that recently, wasn't it? Redman and Method Man. They did some show in New York with a lot of younger artists, and they're like, "We're never playing there again." Like nobody knew who we were, and I agree with a lot of what you said because this is the kind of movements and bands and music that can be discovered, and no matter how, whether it's through a parent, whether it's through TikTok or whatever, it's speaking to generations. And it's again, it's a trip, and which I'm sure it was for when I've done classic rock radio, and I was always would be the youngest person on the air, and people who saw Led Zeppelin in the Doors in live, and I'm like, oh, my dad got me into them, and so now I'm hearing, you have friends that discovered these bands that I just remember coming up and saying, who is this? Who's Nirvana? Like, whoa, like what is this? And it's a lot of that ties into Guns N' Roses, is that diversity as well, because there are I love hard rock, but Guns N' Roses has that diversity. If everything was maybe Appetite for Destruction, I don't know. If they didn't have the November Rain and the Estranged and Comas in their lineup and arsenal and grow as a band and have the acoustic side of them as well, would I be as big of a fan? So that's what that's what I decided to do. Maybe one day you'll do a Pearl Jam podcast, but that's why I decided to do a GNR one. So that's cool. Who did you go with? Did you go with friends to the see GNR those few times, including?
I just went with my parents and my younger brother and stuff. They were great shows and stuff. It was definitely cool to see them also play some Velvet Revolver.
Yeah,
They play Slither sometimes, so I saw that twice. And I also saw Duff sing that Iggy Pop song, Stooges song, I Want to Be Your Dog.
yeah.
So that was rad just to kind of go there and seeing like, hey, like, you know, these guys kind of came to play. They put on a good live show. It was really cool to see them. I definitely see them again. It was rad.
Right on. And rad, that word has been a theme with all my West Coast guests. I guess to bring it back, I used to have like a button bar of like Brain from Guns N' Roses
Yeah,
saying rad all the time. I made him self-conscious by accident because it's probably how I'm New Yorker and I say all the time. We all have our things.
of
But
course.
you could not have had a better seat or booth or however you want to say it. So let's kind of go into part of the reason why you're here. And I'm glad to meet you and to talk about Standby. Awesome music. And like I said, I'm sorry about the silver chair. There could be worse things you could be compared to.
No,
It's
it's great. We love it.
and it's not like, and I will say how we talk about younger bands, like Greta Van Fleet. I respect the hell out of them, but I can't listen to them without like immediately thinking of
Led Zeppelin.
you. I'm like, oh, I get that taste of it, but I could totally tell you're something different. So we'll get into all the places that you can follow at the end of follow you guys at the end. So as I mentioned, I'm East Coast. Furthest west I've ever been, which is pathetic for a guy who does a podcast about GNR, is Arizona. I've never had In-N-Out Burger. I know. And
Wow.
if, I know. And
Sorry.
if you can't judge by my prepubescent girl frame, I used to eat a ton of fast food, like McDonald's, Wendy's, Checkers. I loved it all. But ever since I turned 40, that stuff I get like sick, like physically ill. That's as much TMI as I probably you want to hear. But I would try In and Out. So let's just say I went to California and went to In and Out and I run into Axl Rose. You made that a possibility. So can you, I guess, talk us through that? Because when you look at the picture, as you and one of your bandmates and Axel's in the middle, you actually kind of got him to smirk and smile a little bit. Most pictures with guys, I'm telling you, look at it. He's just, I don't want to smile. He's just got mean mugging, but he's kind of getting a little smirk. Like I like these kids. So this happened about a month ago, May 10th. Yeah, wow, exactly a month ago. Look
Exactly a
at
month
that.
ago. Look at that.
Look at that. 1 year, 1 month anniversary. You wrote so sick, meeting Guns N' Roses legend Axl Rose last night. Such an awesome experience and genuine dude. Without hesitation, he took a time out of his night to visit with Jackson and I, Eddie. Thanks for the great advice, Axel. Don't forget to come see us. Well, too late for this show. I'm sorry. Tomorrow night at Daddy's Diamond Lounge in Hollywood at 9 p.m. So, how was the show? That's the most.
Show
That's
was great. Show was awesome.
cool. Cool. So, how did that night go? Did you go in and out a lot? Take us through the whole evening.
Yeah, so as a teenager living in California, In and Out is a regular hangout amongst all of us. Whether you like it or not, it's just people go there and you sit down, you get burger, fries, a milkshake, and you just hang out. You sit there for hours just visiting with friends. So that's exactly what I was doing. I was hanging out with a group of friends, and we wound up at In and Out around 9 or 10 at night. I'm not going to specify which location or anything, but it was like we're hanging out. I'm there with my guitarist Jackson, and Axel just walks to the door, and I look up and I'm like, Jackson, oh my gosh. He's like, what? I'm like, that's Axl Rose. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm sure. He goes, pull up a picture. I'm like, okay, man. So I pull up a picture. He goes, dude, that's Axl Rose. Let's go talk to him. So we go up, we talk to Axel. We just kind of, I walk up and like, hey, excuse me, are you Axl Rose? And he's like, yeah. Like, hey, super nice to meet you. I'm Eddie. This is my guitarist Jackson. We play in a band here locally and stuff. He's like, oh, that's awesome, guys. And his assistant offered to take our picture. So we got a picture, and that was rad. And then I have a family friend who had met Axel a few times. They had kind of known each other just years and years ago. So I kind of told him about that family friend and stuff, and he remembered. And so we were talking about the band, I guess, for a little bit, and he just gave us some advice and stuff. Told us to kind of stay out of trouble, and there's a lot of shadiness going on in the industry, so just keep your eyes out. So it was overall a positive experience. He to me, he kind of seemed as like the stern but like funny uncle. Like and just seeing Guns N' Roses, like he tells the coolest stories. Like they're just so random, but they're cool. So that was kind of just like my moment in real life with Axl Rose. Just kind of talking to him about my band and stuff, and I had to get going. I think I was going to my friend's house or something. So I was getting going. I said bye to him and stuff, and he wished me luck and my band and stuff. And that was pretty much it. It was just a little run in with Axl Rose in and out.
And you had to get going. It wasn't even like, okay, Axel's got to get going.
Oh no, he was still in there.
Okay.
I had some friends stay there and like, oh yeah, he was there for a while.
Okay. So we'll get to that. So let's break it down if we can, because this is how desperate we are as Guns N' Roses fans for news, entertainment, because we don't get a lot. And I appreciate you. Yeah. Just like with the location, don't give out anything that's personal, privy. Not what I'm here for. Here to like, this is just like awesome experience that you had, and to highlight your band. So the fact that again you recognize Axel right away, and you of course had seen him in concert. Now many people who haven't seen Axl Rose in years just think he's walking in with a kilt and a bandana and like, okay, that's Axl Rose. He comes in with a black Death Note anime T-shirt and red. Forgive me, I don't know the name brand, but I just saw through the thread that people thought they were painters pants, but they turned out to be very expensive pants. They're meant to look like
Some
painters.
crazy expensive sweatpants I saw.
Right. So, okay, good for him. So there was no question right away that that's Axl Rose. There was
You
like,
know, of
okay,
course. And he was there minding his business, having a chill night. And I meet a lot of you know, musicians. And so I kind of know what to stay away from. So I'm not trying to like scare them or make them uncomfortable or anything. You just gotta be respectful, mind their privacy and stuff, and don't make a big deal about it.
yeah,
Um, I met Dave Grohl, and that's kind of what I did. He was great. Super nice to meet Dave and stuff. So that's just kind of my experience with that. You just gotta be genuine. Don't storm up and ask them like, "Hey, oh my gosh, like take a picture with me." Like, if you're a genuine dude and actually like want to have a conversation and talk with somebody like that, just do it. Because half the time, the worst they can say is no.
right. I
And
agree with you.
you know, so that's kind of my mindset when I go to that. So with Axel, he was nice. He didn't seem annoyed at all or in any way. And I think I don't know. Personally, I feel like um, if I was in his shoes, having somebody my age come up and be like, "Hey, like, big fan," it'd be kind of refreshing because you know, as you age, especially in um, your occupation, whether that be music or acting or something, sometimes the younger audience doesn't know as much about you. And I think, unfortunately, today that's the case. And so, if I was in Axel's shoes, I think that would be kind of a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I totally get your perspective. It would be different, if someone like me or some rocker dad be like, "I love you, Axel. I saw you back in 87, 91." It's different like that.
Exactly.
Uh, did you be like, what did you order? Did you ask like maybe the compare and contrast? Did you recommend anything? Even though I'm sure he's an in and out pro. Uh,
He did not. He was just sitting there with some friends and whatnot, just having a burger and some fries, and he was just having a nice night out as any normal person would in an In-N-Out burger.
that's what it is too. He's a normal dude. Anything you're, because I find it interesting and very cool and protective of him to be look out. There's a lot of nefarious, I forget the word you used, but like scary stuff in the music industry. I mean, we see documentaries about on Nickelodeon about it. I mean, it is scary no matter what age, especially if you're younger, because people think they can take advantage for a variety of ways. Anything about the advice that you're able to, other than that, you're able to elaborate on, or
Not really. I mean, that was pretty much
okay.
it. I just kind of asked him as I was heading out if he had any advice for an up and coming musician, and he just told me to kind of keep my eye out. So
You'll
it
keep your
was it
eye
was it was a cool moment.
right on.
He was very genuine. He was really down to earth and stuff, and he was just a nice guy. And I think that you know, Axel has obviously like been hurt in the past by whether it be bandmates or label people. So he's seen it all. So he really knows what to look out for.
I had rewatched the last significant interview that he did in 2016 at the China Exchange, and I never really sat down and I did this recently because my wife and baby are away for the week, so I actually had time to sit down. That's why we could do this right now. You're like,
Congratulations.
I'm available all day. I'm like, okay, whenever you want. I don't have to hold anyone. Uh, just to know he's a normal dude, just to be able to be like that. And but sorry, I wanted to get back and ask about this because I forgot to ask earlier. You're still in school, right? Or no?
Yeah, I'm going into my senior year of high school.
Okay, so when you went in the next day and you're because you post that all the GNR sites or rock sites are posting it, did people ask you about it? Were you kind
Oh
of
yeah,
yeah?
there were some people that I was surprised even knew who Axl Rose was asking about it. Just people who were like massive, like I guess like hip hop fans and stuff that I've never really seen delve into the rock stuff. I had a few parents come up to me and some teachers and stuff, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, and so the next day definitely got some of that reaction, and I had lots of people reaching out through my Instagram DMs and stuff, like friends I haven't heard from in years, and like it was kind of cool.
That's a trip. Now I still have daddy brain even though he's not here. So I caught up. Yeah, the China Exchange. He was talking about um somebody referred to like how he was isolated or just not available for many years and just you couldn't really see him out and about, which you're seeing him now in and out being one of the cases. And he said, "Oh no, I was still out, but I knew where to hide, where the paparazzi wouldn't be." I took that as he is so smart. He knows there's a potential for people to recognize him in and out. He knows that. And I just think that just says a lot about him. He knows that. He knows he's going to be seen. It's such a regular place to go to meet someone like you, to have just a nice conversation with you. It's just another story that takes away from this negative layer that was placed upon him for so many years about who he is. I think we're finding out now. Maybe it's maturity now. I'm sure that's some of it, but who he is now is just it's like the same answer across the board, no matter who I interview. He's a nice, genuine guy.
Exactly, and I really didn't want him to be bothered that night. As I was leaving In and Out, there was this couple sitting outside, and they're like, "Hey, excuse me, like, who is that in there?" And I'm like, "Oh, he's just like an old musician and stuff." And because I don't really want to out him or expose him or anything. He's just having a night out, and I'm sure he doesn't want to be bothered. So if they don't know who he is, then they're not a big enough fan in the first place to even.
Yeah, yeah. No, because then they would just be taking a picture and annoying him.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very, very wise beyond your years, Eddie. I told you at 17, definitely afraid of talking to girls. I definitely don't have this mature mindset that you have. I'm I was younger than 17 then for this quick story. And I don't know if you would know this basketball player if you're into sports at all, but his name was Jason Williams. He used to play
Yeah,
he used to play for the Nets. He's since then he's become infamous because he accidentally shot his butler and his or his driver in his limo. That's a whole other story. So anyway, he was an all-star player. He was a good player at the time. I'm in with a travel. We were traveling this day for school and we went to Cat's Deli. It's a very famous deli. Have you ever seen When Harry Met Sally?
I have.
Okay, you know that big scene where she's faking an orgasm? That's the big scene there. He's like, you've never faked it. But Billy Crystal says to Meg Ryan, and she's faking an orgasm in the middle of Cat's Deli. And they cut to another older woman who ends up being Billy Crystal. I'll have what she's having. Okay, it's a very famous scene. Point being, that's where I met Jason Williams, and I recognized him right away. And I went up to him right away, and I got an autograph on a napkin because what are you going to get signed?
Of course.
And then
Yeah,
all my
that's
friends who were nervous decided, like, okay, let's. He was nice. He didn't shoot anybody.
that's
And
good.
I guess the big punchline of this is that my friend got his wrapped salami sandwich to go because it's like a meat and deli kind of place,
Yeah, yeah,
signed by Jason Williams.
of course.
All right, so the nice story was not nearly as good as yours,
No,
so
no, it's cool. It's cool.
I focused on yours. Uh, Eddie. thank you for just sharing that. And I mean, this allows me to have another band to listen to and and like. So Standby Official is Instagram. Are you, because I know Standby can be confusing. Uh, is it official for each one? And I say that confusing because it's just, I should say simple. It could be a lot of
I
things come up. We say press when you type in Standby. So what should we
I
put?
think we used to be official standby band, but now we got the standby official handle on Instagram. So Spotify is just standby. You can check out our album All for Nothing. We have TikTok, we're just standby band on there. And then YouTube is just also standby. You can look up some of our live sets and whatnot and listen to our tunes and stuff. We really appreciate it.
Standby. There's more.
Standby.
Yes. Is that where it comes from? Or is there a deeper meaning to this?
No, actually, if you look on most like tube amps, or like amp heads, if you're a guitar player, there's a standby mode, which like kind of keeps it warm, I guess. So when you turn it on, it's just ready to go. Because sometimes amps have to, warm up. Um, so I kind of looked at an amp and it said standby. I'm like, hey, cool band name. Of
It is. I like it. You're gonna have to come back, Eddie, someday. Whether you're opening up for Pearl Jam or Guns N' Roses, you'll have to come back.
course.
All right, awesome. Thank you, man. So that does it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. When will you see the next one? In the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, I don't know if soon is the word, but you'll see it.
Thanks to the lame ass security, I'm going home.